we're going to take a look at the different zones that make up the beach. This is what we call a dune. The dune is very important. Its job is to protect the coastal residents and local businesses.
The next part of the beach is what we call the berm. This is the area of any beach where you enjoy many leisure activities, such as laying out on a towel, throwing a frisbee, and doing many other things such as cartwheels and some yoga.
Our next point of focus is the berm crest. This is the area where the waves create a slope that leads into the foreshore, which is the part of the shore between the water and occupied land which is exposed during low tide. On the other hand, we have something called nearshore, which consists of the region of the sea or seabed relatively close to the shore. Filling of a sand is known as accretion, which is simply the process of growth or increase by the gradual accumulation of extra layers of sediment. And an example would be a man-made jetty, creating an area of accretion on the south side of a jetty and an area of starved or eroded beach on the northern side. This is caused by longshore drift.
Longshore drift is moving of material along the coast by waves which approach at an angle to the shore but recede directly away from it.
Many people often mistake erosion for weathering. However, there are two completely different processes. Erosion is the breakdown of sediment and minerals through movement, such as waves crashing along the beach over time. This can cause many different issues, including loss of habitat, less recreational space, and eventually can be led to loss of damage or loss of property. Go.
One of the natural occurrences seen off many coasts is called weathering. This describes the breaking down or dissolving of rocks and minerals on the surface of the earth.
Today we're also going to be looking at how to use the refractometer. This here is the refractometer. As you can see, it has a blue prism that we are going to fill with the water we are testing. And then we're going to put our eyes through this hole here, pointed towards the sun, and we can see the gauge. So let's go get some water. Got the water.
Good job.
Now we fill the prism, the water, put this ledge down, take this, point it towards light, and you can see that the salinity is approximately 32 parts per thousand. Wow!
Science. Are you kids ready to sing?
Yes, Krabby Boy!
Another fascinating part of the Barnegat Lighthouse ecosystem is the maritime forest. Before the barrier islands off the NJ coast were developed with homes and businesses, the landscape looked a lot like this. Nowadays, we only have small trails and small areas of protected maritime forest to enjoy. The largest of these reserves being the Island Beach State Park, which is right on the other side of the inlet. The maritime forests also have their own microclimate. A microclimate is the climate of a small restricted area that is different than the zones around it. Although the beach is just a short walk east, inside the forest there's a lack of sea breeze. Also, there's a lot of natural shade causing the climate to be different. This causes a completely different climate than the surrounding areas. Although the maritime forest is rich in vegetation, the soil is not like most you'd find in forested ecosystems. The soil here is very sandy, as you can see, making the plants adapted to live in the sandy soil environment.
This is the Asian shore crab. These crabs originated from New Jersey. They were found in Cape May County. As you can see, they have more of a square shape, and they have some thick claws. They also range from anywhere from Russia to Hong Kong along the coast. One of the many ecosystems formed is the tidal pool. These are formed when high tide occurs, and many small fish and crustaceans come here to hide and seek safety.
Today, the black cottonwood, American holly.
The lighthouse gets its name from early Dutch explorers who called it the Barnegat because of large cresting waves. The original, which we're not studying now, was built in July of 1835 for $6,000 or $147,000 today. Lieutenant George Meade saw the poor conditions from erosion and designed a new lighthouse in 1855 for $60,000 or $1.6 million today. The lighthouse, it stands at 171 feet with 200 steps to the top. It was first lit on January 1st, 1859. In 1869, 9 jays were built to stop erosion as the distance from the lighthouse to the inlet shrunk from 900 feet to 450 feet. Wiring screen was installed as birds would constantly fly through the glass, knocking off the lens.
Like I was discussing earlier about the microclimates, up here on top of the lighthouse is once again another microclimate. As you can see, it's very windy up here, causing it to be a lot breezier.
Yes.
Today we are in Seaside Park and we are going to be talking about sea level rise. Awesome. As we continue to emit greenhouse gases into the atmosphere through the use of industry, cars, and other machinery, we are days like this where it is flooded all along the roads and the coastal areas will become more frequent.
An intergovernmental panel on climate change predicted by 2100 the sea level will raise to 0.93 meters, which doesn't seem like a lot, but is 3 feet. In the U.S. alone, it already causes 100 hours of traffic delay, but the University of New Hampshire did a study that forecast that it could jump to 3.4 billion hours in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So houses that typically are lower to the ground, this one here, typically get hit the worst when it comes to storms, since there's more water and it is prone to get in their house or destroy their gardens. As you can see, the house over here has clearly been raised due to the fact that when it does flood, they will be more protected than a house that is not raised. A mosquito channel is a man-made pest control system. They are used to keep the mosquito population low. Fish that inhabit this area swim up the mosquito channels, eating the eggs. This is a method of biological control.
In the late 1800s and into the early 1900s, there was multiple houses and a few farms and barns here. They were owned by John Caddis, and in 1973, the Vandals burned down the house of John Caddis, who once owned much of this Caddis Island. This caused an area of succession. The elevation in the park has much to do with the plants that live in the park. Because of the higher elevation in the Caddis Island section, like this area, a lot of bigger trees and different shrubs can grow because they are more adapted to less salinity than those other plants like the cordgrasses and the phragmites that are in the lower parts of the park.
Succession in biology is the order of colonization of species in an ecosystem from a barren or destroyed area of land. In second succession, an ecosystem previously existed but was disrupted usually by a natural disaster like a fire or hurricane, and it can take over 150 years until a climax community is reached. As you can see by these small coniferous trees, this area of land is starting to come back, but it's going to take well over there 150
150
years until it reaches what it used to be back in 1970. The trees here are more adapted since they live in the pine barrens to withstand the fire, and that's why they're still standing here today. This whole area here was caused by the fire in 1973.
Two species that are also known as pioneer species are known as lichen and moss. These are the first type of organisms to grow back after an area of succession.